Hey guys, this is Demorofis from tbrake.com, and today we'll be looking at the 2012 Range Rover Evoque. This is obviously a new model from Range Rover that they introduced late last year, and today we're looking at the 3-door model. So let's take a look at the interior first. This is a fairly comfortable car, but if you can tell from the seats and the basic interior, it's very sporty as well. I'll get to the engine a bit, but we've got suede covering on the sides. Felt material over here, leather stitch over here, obviously the steering wheel as well, and pretty much the entire dashboard, to which we will get into a bit. And as you can see over here, you have the typical Range Rover Sports or the Range Rover interior, which is plush leather and comfy as you like it. Now looking at the seats over here, you can see very sporty looking seats, leather obviously, and if you have a look at the back seats as well, I mean you can see they look nice and comfy, but not a lot of room back there. Obviously a lot of headroom, but in leg room it's a bit tight. This is me sitting comfortably, and the rear passenger's got just enough leg room to squeeze in over there. Otherwise, yes, it feels, if the roof was on, then people would feel slightly claustrophobic. Don't really doubt that, but full panoramic sunroof looks really beautiful, gorgeous for the people in the back as well, because they can breathe easily, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty much the interior. Let's have a look at the main gadgets over here to see what everything's like on the main console. So this is basically the main 7-inch screen that you have over here, multicolored full touch screen obviously. You'll notice that this looks pretty much the same as a regular Range Rover or even the Jaguar, same setup. One of the interesting things is that the Evoque comes with a 12.1 speaker system from Meridian, so they've got their own sound system settings as well, which I will get to in a bit. Let's have a look at the main menu. So you've got this over here, and the main menu will literally just show you your audio, navigation and phone as 3 subsettings, and then separate settings on the sides over here. This on the main screen may look slightly confusing. You can set up a screensaver to show you a clock if you don't want to see all of this information, or you can just simply go into one menu and then be over there, so you don't need to see anything else. Clearly at any time you can just hit the navigation button. You always have to hit that agree thing, and then you can be over here to see wherever you're going. Phone settings pretty much the same. Once you set up the phone via Bluetooth, you can play the audio as well as the phone. And then if you go over here, you've got the, once you touch the mode settings on the steering wheel, you can cycle through DVD, CD, radio, FM, and obviously the audio source that's selected. You can even select from here clearly. So once we go back, let's take a look at these settings over here. Setup, this is basically the setup for the main console. Again, you can have pretty much everything, a lot of details, a lot of menus you can go dig into. Customize the car completely to your liking. One of the interesting things that I'd like to talk about is the extras feature over here. You've got 2 things, ambient lighting and cameras. You've got 5 options over here with different degrees of brightness over here. So you've got red, pink, all the way going to teal over here. Looks gorgeous in the night. Obviously I can't show you during the daytime, but what happens is that near the armrest area, beneath the center console area, this is all pretty much lighted up, but in a very, again, depending on the brightness setting, it can look pleasant to obnoxiously bright. If you go over here, we will see these are the cameras. This gives you a pretty much bird's eye view of the car around you, literally everything around you from all different 5 angles. Good for tight parking spots. Otherwise, to dig into this just to see what you have around you is a bit cumbersome really. So we got this, and then one of the last cool features that I want to talk about is that from a driver's point of view, what I'm seeing is this screen, obviously passenger as well, but if you hit the dual screen over here, so as you can see from the driver's perspective, all I'm seeing is the basic screen layout, whatever I was playing around with. But if you pan a bit to the passenger side, you'll see that he can see or she can see whatever media they want to see. This could be anything between, basically it's a DVD that you might put in, or any video file that you want to play through the sound system. Very intriguing because this is sort of separate from the driver's point of view. I have absolutely no input, but whoever's sitting on this side can have their input on the screen, and then it's literally them navigating through the options over there, which I am not in contact with. The only way to stop this is, again, press and hold this, and then That's it. So you're back to turning off dual mode, and I guess it's still on, sorry. So you need to make sure that the dual mode is turned off, and you're back to the regular screen. So that's pretty much it for the system. Very nicely implemented. So the interior is pretty much like the regular Range or the Land Rover. You can see the gear popping out over here, and the terrain selection as well. You've got all 5 varieties. Dynamic mode as well for regular city driving. Okay, now let's take out the Range Rover Evoque for a spin. Obviously the rear camera's in effect. One interesting bit is that both left and right side mirrors pan down a bit so that you can see around for the old school driver. And let's take it out. The car has a 2-liter turbo engine. Turbo is fairly big. It's the same engine sourced from the Ford Explorer, and it's the Ford EcoBoost engine basically, which is fairly nippy. Car isn't exactly heavy, so acceleration is fairly good. 237 horses. That is good enough to propel you from 0 to 100 in 7.2 seconds. Very good for a car this size. One of the interesting bits is that, as you can tell from the sound, it doesn't necessarily sound like a Jeep, it's more like a sports car, and that's the feeling as well, because once you push the car, once the turbo kicks in, it's fairly fast. I mean, 0 to 100 may not be that impressive, but reaching from 120 to let's say 160 is a matter of about 4 seconds. So the car really does push if you want the speed. Again, acceleration overtaking on the highway is not exactly a big deal for the car. What I will say is that despite the low height of the car and the feel, I mean, you feel like you're driving a proper 4x4, but from the outside the car is pretty low. And if you're around some tight turns, center of gravity is a bit high, so not necessarily the easiest to handle in certain tricky situations. But yes, overall for a fun SUV city car, this is a fairly good deal. Acceleration is just about right, just enough power that you need in the city, whether it's in traffic or outside. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So interior cabin noise, as you could experience, isn't exactly a lot. Fairly comfortable, no highway noise. You can hear the engine, not necessarily the exhaust. It depends if you like it or not, but this is a sound that you'll have to live with ultimately. One of the interesting things is the dynamic mode, that at the push of a button you can engage it. The cluster obviously turns red to show you that yes, you are indeed in dynamic mode. Suspension gets a bit bouncy, like you're on coilovers. You'll be slightly jumping around on not necessarily humps, but even road indicators at the bottom. Not the most comfortable feel. I'm not really sure whether that's because our test unit has been abused a lot, or whether that's the normal deal with the Evoque, but something to keep in mind if you're taking it out for a test drive. So that's pretty much it. Thank you all for joining us, and see you all next time.